Howdy folks, it's your boy J3P01 back at it again after a minute to remind you that I like the HoloLive card game and have been doing some stuff behind the scenes, mainly figuring out how tabletop sim works and grabbing a tabletop sim mod for it and throwing custom cards into it. So in case you're wondering why I never continued after the one video, it's because I just finished up making a full set, and then another full set, and I've started on a couple of other kind of tangential projects. One of them is a third set, just kind of round things out. But you can actually get this along with the original version of mod and another somewhat prolific now custom card designer, all in the description down below. As long as you have tabletop sim on your Steam, whatnot, you'll be able to get it quick and easy. So got this the layout you'll get if you open up mine. We've got sets 1 through 6 all nice in a row because Noodle Brain over on the HoloOCG Discord put them there like that, along with all the SDs that have been released up to date. Once we get the Advent and Justice ones fully, I think actually released, because they need to get the card files on the official website, you'll see these in here too, along with 2 custom starter decks and 2 custom sets. Now, there's going to be some overlaps with Oshis and whatnot with stuff that already exists. Because I made my stuff before they got to it. I didn't know that they were doing the Chihaya versus Nico SD duo deck thing until after I sat down and been like, I'm making Sue cards. So that's a thing. And then Ina, we knew pretty far in advance that Ina was not getting support for a hot minute. So, we made Ina starter deck. I can't help myself from making Ina cards. At this rate, she's bound to show up just about in every project, just there. The fate of being a taco. Anyway, I'm not actually going to show off the cards here. We're going to slide over to a different table. And yeah, we'll go through most of the cards there. So, 1 second. Alright, so let's take a look here. This is J3P01, or custom set number 1. So what have we got here? So we've got our Oshi roster up at the top. We have Sakuriona, there's Fauna, Elizabeth Rose Blood Flame, Arguambus, Ikarara Vivi, Watson Amelia, or as we know her, Ame, and Gigi. So, all the ones on top have the full usual starter set Oshi complement of M's. Look in here. We have the room Oshi. 2 skills as is tradition. Our base skill is once per turn. If your Holomel Floco would take damage from the opponent during the opponent's turn, one of those Holomem takes minus 50 damage. Then also, her once per game, usable when your Riona specifically is down by your opponent during your opponent's turn. Deal 100 special damage to your opponent's center Holomem. So, our top skill is basically just a trait swapped boom, but her SP is, I guess, kind of Botan on a response to your opponent downing you, which is a thing. As far as like an actual theme, my version of Riona didn't really get a particularly strong one. She has a 110-30 debut before these were actually going to be like standard. We have a Collab, who is I think a clone of another one. But if your Oshi Holomem is either Luna or Riona, draw a card from your deck. We have her Vanilla, which is a 160 HP with a double art for 2, cost art for 50. Grab your Mike. If she's bloomed from debut, grab either a debut first or Spahomem with Loco from your deck and add to hand. Deck search We have this Rona with a white and a colorless art for 30, but her gift is once per turn during your opponent's turn, this HoloMem takes damage, deals 20 special damage to your opponent's center HoloMem. She is a built-in Upao, sitting on your 170 HP first. You got 2 retreat. That's totally fair then, right? And her second, 200 HP, white and a colorless to grab or deal 50 with 50 against red, and also grab another Riona from deck to put into your hand. Meanwhile, for 2 white and a colorless, if you have 3 more Riona in your backstage, you can repeat her art, which is a 100 with plus 50 first red. So you hit 200, you do 2 attacks to do it, but you still have your collab slot to do whatever with. You're like functional as a deck, I would say, by yourself. Floglow, this custom set of Floglow just has ramp built in to itself, so you don't have to worry about running like Chloe or whatnot if you don't want to. You know, we can have a full Floglow deck and things will function. But obviously you have the kind of the demand for a second one to be by itself and having double white, so maybe you end up just kind of locking into that mainly Riona theme, like your one Ripper sitting off to the side. Not completely sure how I'd want to go about that. But yeah, we do have official Riona cards now with set 6, and these don't necessarily play along with those all that well. Obviously, her other Oshi has its own -1 life condition about kind of milling through your deck, and everything is just kind of erased to the bottom as far as your card pool goes, so that your SP activates. But yeah, these are still pretty, I'd say, functional white mem cards for around set 3-ish power level. That's kind of where all this was aimed at, was maybe a bit over set 3. It's Fauna na. I can use the magnify button for this. 5 Oshi. All of them except for Vivi, as you may have noticed already, are 5 life Oshis. Vivi is a 6 life. Fauna. Use one when you bloom a holomem, restore 50 to that holomem for 2. Probably a bit too steep for the modern game. I don't know. This is fine. Don't worry about it. For SP, Return to Nature, is a -X. Once per game, when your center, if your center holomem is Ceres Fauna, choose one of your opponent's back holomem with X -1 holomem stacked to that holomem, and down it. So if you pay 2, it is a back holomem with 1 holomem stacked under it. So like a first to bloom from a debut. You have to pay 4 hollow power to get to like a Marine with 3 cards under it, which was kind of the use case I was spitballing for. Yeah, you aim for that. You pay 4, you hit a Marine with 3 stacked under it, and then down it. If you paid 4 more hollow power, you may choose a cheer in your archive and put it at the top of your life. So, a couple of glaring problems with this Oshi design, considering the modern game. We don't have a lot of like those tall stacks, really. Like maybe some decks, if they have like the 1 ramper, maybe they'll do that. Outside of that, it's like Marine, we say, not a lot else. So that SP skill isn't all that broadly applicable, and her base skill is also too expensive. She has unfortunately been a victim power creep and maybe just some incorrect assumptions about how the game functions. I'm not really going to be going back and fixing the cards from this release, though. I think it is kind of just fine leaving them as they are, outside of maybe like typo fixes, something like that. That's kind of just I am a capsule of how things were at the time. Because if I let myself free to go back and do revisions, I will just never move on to another project, and I already have. So let's just leave that house of cards tipped over. Yeah, that is her Oshi, which is basically the same as the one from the video. If we go through her mems, we might have seen some changes from there. So this Ceres Fauna is the classic Ceres Fauna 110 30 HP. This collab Fauna is a going second, so this was added after we saw the existence of some of these going second cards. Collab effect, if you're going second, this is your first turn, reveal a first series Fauna from your deck and add to hand, that's shuffle. Then it has a colorless for 30, 90 base HP, and, most importantly, Snail's there. See? Rest in peace, Snail. For vanilla, 170 with a double colorless for 50. We have her Bloom, Idle Bloom. On Bloom, restoring 20 to one of your Hollow with Promise of Alum, and for one colorless, you get a 28 plus damage attack. You get to send a cheer from your archive to your Hollow, and if you restored your Hollow's HP this turn, this goes up to 30 from 20. Now just a little bit better. Got these flipped backwards. We have the Witch Fauna. First Bloom 120 HP as well. On Bloom, you may roll 2 dice if the total is 5 or higher. Send a cheer from your archive to your Hollow. If the total is 10 or more, restore 30 HP to your Hollow. That doesn't say one or all. That probably needs to be clarified somewhat. Also, her arts is a G and a C. Green and colorless. For 20 base and 20 more if you restore the Holow's HP this turn. The Fauna just wants you to constantly have damage on board to heal off. I wonder if there will be any other Holomem in this set release that can accomplish that. Last but not least, her second. On Bloom, restore 4 to each of your Holomem with Promise to Alum. See, we got the each there this time. So I'm pretty sure this is just one. Maybe that's how it's written language as of current. Anyway. Then we also have her art, which is green and double colorless for the Let Me Stay Here. If your center Hollow has Promise or hashtag Hollow, this art gets plus 40. If you restore to Hollow's HP this turn, this art gets plus 50. So 150 if you're able to follow the game plan, which is have Promise or graduated members on your side, and do some healing. This definitely could get better. But we're not here for power balancing. Just keep in mind for those who come after me. Up next, we have Liz. Yes, we are just going through the top list of OCGs before going through who else is in the set. So, Leader of Justice, choose one of your Hollow with hashtag Justice in one of the Hollow's tags. All of your Hollow with hashtag Justice gain that tag till the end of your opponent's next turn. This is balancing around the fact that set 4, Cece and Rara have tag support for tags they don't, that none of the other members have, which still is not really accounted for beyond their other stuff. There is that Justice starter deck coming out, and maybe the Liz and Gigi will kind of bind things together better, but barring that, these custom cards are kind of trying to do that. Then that's for -1, you get to set those tags. So basically just always have that on, unless you're saving up for the -3, which you might be. You're running Liz's. Maybe you should be. -3, might waste your strength. Choose one of your Elizabeth or Red's Blood Flame. During this turn, your Hollow of Justice get arts plus 30 for each red cheer attached to the chosen Hollow. So, if you are playing enough red cheer to get 3 onto a Liz, you get arts plus 90 across the board, -3 for a turn, which should be able to more than guarantee that you get a double KO that turn as long as you get it set up, which you might think is noteworthy. But in the custom set format that myself and fellow customs aficionado Synergy have kind of cobbled together with our profiles, that is fine. But there are far more dangerous things you can be doing. As it is, nice ability to get some KOs, also spread some support around. Then we look at her mems themselves. So the debut that requires a red cheer specifically, 120 base HP, and with that red, she gets a 10 plus. If your stage has a Hollow Mem with singing other than Herb, the starts get plus 20, so it goes up to 30 for a red cheer on a 120 HP mem. This has since been just outdone, I would say, by her actual unlimited debut, which is insane. They gave it 140 HP and a 30 damage attack, and they're like, yes, but it has A retreat cost of 2. That's balancing. It's like, I see the math that you went and did, but also wild. We have not a collab, but just a supplemental debut. This is taken from the Koyori, basically. Believe the Koyori, maybe not. I don't think that's Koyori actually, but it is 100 HP and a colorless for a 20 damage attack that on art. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Grab either a Justice Debut Holmem or her sword Thorns from among them. Add to hand and return the remaining to the bottom of the deck in any order. Way to grab some stuff early if you are inclined to attack for utility early on. Vanilla, 170 HP. We have a 30 for 1 colorless, and 70 damage for 1 red and 2 colorless. We have this Liz. This Liz is a 110 HP bodyguard that isn't tag locked. So that's, yeah. New bodyguard. I feel like that HP is a typo, but I'm kind of leaving it because bodyguard is kind of crazy as it turns out. Even though modern meta has kind of shifted in ways to be able to actually deal with it. But we also have this red and colorless. This art gets plus 10 for each of your back column M, with Justice or Singing, so covering for both. And is probably also, this means that it's a 110 HP bodyguard that can probably also swing for like 50 for those two cheer. Just kind of splitting that difference between the tank and the damage potential. We have this on Bloom Liz, which if Bloom from debut, salvage a debut first, and if they have either Justice or Singing tag, deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center Holomem. This is basically the Bay from set 1. I just legitimately think that profile was kind of slept on, so I printed it. It probably actually would get more numbers nowadays, but it's fine. Set 3 printing for set 1 of a custom project is, last but not least, second. She is a red for 60 with plus 50 for purple. And then her other art, Flame Tongue, 2 red and a colorless with that has no base damage, but does have plus 50 purple. That's because she copies the arts of one of your other Holomem with Singing on it to perform. You have to meet that art's requirements and use red cheer instead of any other cheer colors for their color requirements. But let's say you have, I don't know, like a Catly second in backstage for some reason, like the blue one, that has a base 210 attack, base 200 attack, whatever that 4 cheer thing is. As long as you have 4 cheer on this Liz, you get to resolve that art instead of whatever, normal stuff. Also, that art would, in and of itself, have weakness attached to it, the crit attached to it. So if you hit either purple or the color the Cali's good against, which I think is red on that blue one, you get to deal the extra 50. And if they're playing a double-colored Holomem, that's plus 100. Yeah. Wild stuff, ain't it? Alright. Next up, we have Gwambus. Gwambus is very dangerous, I would say. We have Return to the Sea. Once returned during this turn, all of your Holomem with Myth and Sea get arts plus 20, -2. And for -3, all the worlds and ocean. Once per game, repeat the following action X times. You can Tom a Weiss player. Deal 20 damage to any one of your opponent's Holomem. X is equal to the total cheer attached to your Myth or Sea Holomem. Myth and Sea Holomem. So you load up your stage with cheer, and then you just spray and pray after a bit. It is fairly straightforward to get up to 5, 6, maybe 7. And you can actually do this in a way that gets you like 3, 4 KOs in a turn. 4 is like if you save it for really late game. and kind of have some spread around, which is normally the case. But the idea of just being able to kind of either guarantee some KOs on the things in front, or net some extra KOs on weak back mems, along with your front row doing its front row stuff. Yeah, this thing is really dangerous. The tag limit does matter because if it didn't specify Myth and C, there would actually be an even more terrifying place for that SP to sit, which we discovered when Synergy implemented something similar, and we had to put a limitation on it to prevent that from happening. If I ever go through talking about his cards, I probably should at some point, honestly, we can look at the perpetrator there. Yeah, we have Gwambus cards. Hello, Gwambus. We have her debut, Gwambus. An 80 HP debut, which nightmarish in modern time, I know. You see, she is also a singing mem. If you want to play Liz Gura, that might be a thing. Her base art, is 1 colorless for 20 damage. And her secondary art is blue and colorless for Domo Samaidesu. 30 damage, also deals 10 damage to one of your opponents, however, Holomem, but your opponent's life does not reduce if that downs the Holomem. Just kind of slapping 2 debut style attacks onto the 1. Nowadays, I think this probably would still sit at like 90 HP, 100 HP. Interesting note. The power creep that we've seen in the past couple sets has actually been kind of wild. Like, I was expecting creep in like a feature creep sense, maybe, but no, we just went straight up power. Just gonna make customs very interesting in the future than what we already have. Olab Gura has Blue Horizon as a card lab effect. If your Oshi is Gura, you may archive card from your hand to send the top card of your cheer deck to your Holomem. Just a nice little turn 1 guaranteed ramp option. She also only has 60 HP, and her colorless art does 30 damage. So, glass cannon, like Wampus. We have her first, which is 100, vanilla first, which is 160 HP. Base attack for 1 colorless does 40, and a blue and a colorless, so you can do 60 instead. We have the ramping Wampus. Life gives you a Huicha. What do? You go again. The bloom effect is similar to the Roni or the Mia bloom effect, where you reveal a cheer from your color from your cheer deck with the same color as one of your Holomem with matching tag. In this case, either Myth or C. Send it to your Holomem with shuffle cheer deck. This is so that you can play a Gura in your Umi-C build. For those of you who maybe don't know what Umi-C was, it was a short-lived nautical collaboration project between Gura and Aqua and Chloe and Mari and Inina and Gura. I'm pretty sure all 5 of them were in that. Yeah, all 5 of them. I was getting a little bit iffy on Aqua, but nope, that's all 5 of them. That is where the C tag originated, back when that was kind of a thing that was going on. And we never really got to see anything done with that. Because now Chloe's graduated, Aqua and Gura have been graduated for a minute. So we make our own here in the custom land, in case that wasn't obvious already. We have our Buzz Gura. So Gura got a Buzz and a second. She's not the only one who gets this progression pattern in this set, or necessarily in other ones in the future. A 240 base HP, 1 colorless for Blend the Water, 30 base, but if either player's Holomem has a red cheer attached to it, it goes up to 60. And then for a blue and 2 colorless, you get the Devil Shark trigger, Devil trigger and whatnot. 70 base. If there are 5 or more Holomem in your archive, you can send a cheer from your archive to your Holomem. If there are 10 or more Holomem in your archive, doesn't need the plus. Deals 50 special damage to one of your opponent's Holomem. I think at one point that was going to be a bonus damage, and I just not changed the marking on it. So that's something to be aware of, I guess. That is just a straight 70 damage with 50 special that goes anywhere as long as you have 10 more in your archive. And if you're wondering why that number is so high, we have gotten some mill effects. That's yeah, that's something to keep in mind. There are easier ways to get cards into archive in custom format than current, and even current nowadays kind of can get you there. But anyway, last but not least, Wamba second, 190 HP. On Bloom, you reveal a holomem for your archive or from your deck and archive it. If the archived holomem is a first or second, during this turn, your holomem with Myth or C, with and C rather, one or the other tag, gets arts plus 20. So plus 40 damage as long as you're willing to archive a first or second holomem. Gee, I wonder why you might be willing to do that. You do have to get to a first or second holomem, admittedly. Sometimes that's a steep cost, sometimes this is perfectly fine. It kind of depends on your other resources available. Now, her art, 2 blue and colorless for pulling you under. Base 100 with plus 50 against purple. You may archive the top 2 cards of your deck. If there are 8 or more holomem in your archive, this art gets plus 80. So, on the turn you bloom her, pretty easy. It basically guaranteed 120. Not so hard to get to 100 total. And also you get a extra 20 off for your collab mem, meaning that you can quite consistently get some double KOs going, particularly with HoloOCG on board and with classic collab partner Amelia Watson. We have a more than functional build of Ame Same in this card pool. We'll maybe come back to that and talk about Ame stuff. But in between, we have Vivi. Vivi! Hi, Vivi. So, -2 for Eye of the Beholder. If your center holomem is Vivi, get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal a card from among them, add it to your hand, then archive the remaining card. She has been straight up power crept by the Mio that they revealed, except she has 6 life instead of 5. I feel bad about that just a little bit. She is loading the archive, which is significant for her archetype compared to what Mio is doing, which is setting top. But Mio also wants to be setting top, and that means that it's not putting supports they might want to draw into or whatnot into archive. It is just wild to me that they did just kind of look at my girl and be like, but Mio should have set the scryer, the mayor the scryer. Anyway, Vivi's -3 is Marvelous Transformation on her SP. Once per game, you can bloom a holomem with #device from your archive on one of your holomem that doesn't share a name, a holomem chosen from your archive. Meaning, she turns one holomem into a different one. And it made me thinking, why would you want to do this? Outside of it being just a fun little thing that you can do. Well, if we look to the card pool, I have an answer. So, debut Vivi. She's 120 HP with a base 20 attack for colorless. Vivi doesn't have any tags. I couldn't think of any for her, and the official version also did not give her tags. If we had to give her one, it'd probably be painting because makeup, but makeup is sufficiently different, I would say. We have collab Vivi. If your Oshi holomem is Kikuraru Vivi, you may draw a card and then archive card from your hand. Or she also does a 30 damage for a 1 purple attack. For vanilla, it has 150 HP and either does 30 for colorless or purple colorless to get to 60. Alrighty. We have her on Bloom, her equivalent to an idol, Vivi. If Bloom from debut, reveal a debut spot or first holomem other than Buzz with the same name as your Oshi. Your deck and add it to your hand. Let's shuffle your deck. And for purple or colorless, she gets a 40 damage attack. I feel like you could really pump this profile up as I think maybe 140, 150 HP even might actually be fair. I'm not completely sure. And current flow glow, I think you would see this as a thing to run alongside a Riona. I'm not completely sure. It was in a weird spot in the official. I don't think that changes from here. From Buzz. Have the Vivi Buzz, 250 base HP. Gift in center position only. Once per turn during your main phase, you may archive a card from your hand. Choose a hollow mem in your stage and a hollow mem in your archive. During this turn, the hollow mem chosen from the stage is regarded as the hollow mem chosen from archive instead of its other name. So she gives you a makeover, changes your name to allow you to bloom onto hollow mem with different names. Meaning that if you're doing like a mixed flow glow line, you can just pick whoever you want to run up into. She can also target herself with this. So you could, for example, look at a Vivi, look at her, grab a different name it that, and then be able to hit that with Marvelous Transformation. The target in Archive has to be device, not the one on stage, which is relevant. Last but not least, we have our second. On Bloom, choose a holomem in your archive that does not share a name with this holomem, stack it underneath this holomem, draw one card, and then, it's 190 base HP by the way, and then her arts, 2 purple and colorless for Glow with the Flow, 100 that gets bonus damage and also does plus 50 green. This arts gets plus 50 for each holomem stacked to this holomem with a different name. So, the idea being that you can use either her SP skill to change the name of the cards under her, you have the Bloom effect to put a different name under her, you have the Buzz to let you set that up in the background. There's also a supporter that does this as its primary effect. In hindsight, that card kind of plays as disruption too. We'll get to it when we talk about it, but probably should have a couple more options for changing names to make it easier to get to that 200 threshold. Because it is like 150 is guaranteed, 200 takes work, and you're not really guaranteed to be able to get to that point again multiple times in the game necessarily. So I feel like that's a little bit of a struggle. I feel like Glow group that I put together definitely, but the comparison from them to the ones that they released even in the SD is kind of wild. They really did cook for those. Speaking of cooking, sort of, we have Amelia Watson. For her, she is a -2 for top 3 check for an item. Put in your hand, archive the rest. For -3, I'm a time traveler, because she is not just a detective. Once per game, when you play an event or an item, you may return that card from archive to hand, and you may also play 2 limited supports during this turn. Meaning, you have the option there to combo multiple draw spells. You can do a draw spell and the techie you draw into with on the same turn, provided that you use the -3 when you use the draw spell to get it back. Stuff like that. Fun shenanigans you can do. Especially because that's also fully generic. It just requires you to have the hollow power to spend. Then we'll look at her mems, and they really do fit more, try to fit more into a myth theme than that generic Oshi would attest. So, she has 110 HP, her base arts does 20, her other arts is 3 colorless, deals 60, and also can reattach a tier from this Hallman to one regard Gura. This is a Risu unlimited debut clone, which is perfectly fine. I think Risu is a funny profile. He also has shooter tag. She is alum and shooter. Significant. We have this MacLeod Watson, who has a lot of text on it. Okay. Recall effect: if your center holomem has #myth and you have 5 or few cards in your hand, you may draw 1 to archive 1. Her arts is for a yellow cheer. She does 10 damage, and if there are no mascots attached to any of your holomem on your stage, you can grab a Bubba and attach it to one of your Watsons and shuffle the deck. Base 60 HP because she has all this text on her. Funnily enough, I think in modern day, she is probably sitting closer to like 80 or 90. I'm not sure if they would budget the double utility as highly as I did here. Kind of hard to say. Yeah, you get your archive set up, you get a mascot, which we'll touch on what he does in a little bit. He's not really necessary to her gameplay. It's just kind of a bonus. But, you know, any build of Watson for this game should have Bubba involved somewhere. Like criminal if it didn't. Okay, we have her vanilla. Let's see these got kind of out of order. Let's fix that. Have her vanilla, 150. Gonna low for blue mem. 30 for a colorless, 60 for yellow and a colorless. We have her bloom, which is a yellow Ayame, because you know how we love Ayame in the household. On bloom from debut, check top 2, grab a card, reveal and add to hand, archive the rest. Then for 1 yellow, she does 40 damage. I think that is changed from Yame. Also, this is the only Ame with singing trait, because she's singing. You know, she's phenomenal stuff. We have this 130 first. Her basic art, its elementary, is just a yellow for 40 damage. If you have another colorless on her, you can go the Ame way, which is base 40 as well. But also, it's like a mini Neo. You archive the top card of your deck. If the archive card is a support, it gets plus 10. But if it's a HoloOCG with Myth, she instead gets plus 20. So she either swings 50 or 60 for 2 cheer, which in combination with like Gura, she can get like 100 on like a 2 cheer first attack, or so inclined, which I think is fun. And then Watson's second, 200 HP. Her first arts is just 1 yellow, 30 damage with plus 50 versus blue. Collab position only. If your center HoloOCG as #myth, this arts gets plus 30. Meaning, if she's swinging in the center for that base attack, it is only 30. But as long as you're collabing with a myth, she gets up to 60. And of course, she is super effective against Gura. As we know, Ame Same, that's how that goes. Then the clock won't stop spinning. 1 yellow, 2 colorless. For base 80, dealing 53 blue, plus 50 blue. Deal 10 special damage to your opponent's center HoloOCG for each HoloOCG with myth in your archive. The maximum number of HoloOCG counted for this ability is 12. You can get up to 200 between your base damage and your ping. And you can also go up to 120 with a Gura second boosting it, 240 with her Oshi. And yes, I am saying Gura Oshi rather than Abe Oshi, because you do, in fact, for the build of Ame Same that I put together, run Gura Oshi along with the two of them. The ability to go between the 2 seconds is actually really nice. The fact that they both hit the magic number just kind of in different ways. It is not that hard to hit the milestones, not that hard to really get the damage where you need it. You have both like consistency tools with your idle Ame along with cheer setup tools. Like it's just kind of all around good stuff. I think Ame Same as it is would be playable into at least like A plus or A tier of the current HoloLive metagame. I don't think it's S tier into the matchups that exist currently. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe also with some other crazy tech stuff that you could be doing as far as which mems are where. There's probably some other lists, like maybe like a Kiara Gura or Kiara Ame or something like that. That also gets you some distance. Either way. I do like where Ame's cards ended up. I like where Gura's cards ended up. I wish I could say that about Gigi's. Which I kind of can. Gigi, her Oshi skill, roll for initiative. You may roll a die once on 3, 4, 5, or 6. Salvage Gremlin from archive. If it is 1 or 2, get 2 back instead. And her -3, me when I get you. Once per game, when you center HoloOCG with justice damage your opponent's HoloOCG. Switch your center HoloOCG with one of your back Gigi Marin who is not resting. Gigi's cards have not undergone any changes since they were first made. Which means that, ain't gonna lie, she is kind of low on power level. You know, we have this 90 swinger for 30 with no retreat cost like the Yame SD. We have this collab Gigi with only 60 HP, which is a copy of the HoloOCG that collabs, rolls a die. If you get a 1, you not only get a top tier charge to somewhere, you also just run away. which is still, I think, a pretty good collab effect. Just, man, you feel that 60 HP more and more by the day. You have your Vanilla with 170 HP, 2 Cheer for 50. You have your Idle Gigi. If Bloom from debut, you may check top 2, reveal a Hallman with Justice from among them to add to hand, and then return the remaining cards to the top of your deck in any order. Then you have, for yellow and a colorless, Never Was a Clouded Day. 30 base damage, and then you can archive top card of your deck, which you will know because of the Bloom effect. If you archive a Holomem, it goes to 50. If you archive a Grimoire, it goes to 70. So, you know, that's pretty fun. I do like this card as a self-contained piece. I think even if the HP is kind of low for current, I think that combination of effects is fun. I kind of am expecting not something similar or like this kind of text for Mio, but I am expecting Mio to do some things like this Gigi is, based on what we've seen. From the Gigi cards that we've gotten spoiled, because we actually have been getting spoiled for the Justice and Advent cards, and Gigi has actually gotten multiple at this point. Her gimmick is completely different from whatever I was doing with her. Like, wildly different. And, it's just pretty funny. Speaking of maybe funny things that Gigi does, we have this collab first, 150 HP. Roll a die once. If the result is odd, send a cheer from your archive to your center collab. If it's even, attach a Gremlin from your archive to your Gigi Murren. Not that you'd be able to attach it to another member per se, but, we'll just make it clear. And then for yellow and a colorless, deal 40 damage. We notice that Gigi has painting here. She does not have painting in the official game. I just wanted to give her tags, and this was the interest tag that I found for her. Similar to how, it means it overlaps with Rara, but don't think about it too much. It's fine. It's all fine. We all howl down here. This Buzz Gigi for 240 HP. Her gift at the end of your performance step. If this Holomem downed your opponent's Holomem this turn, you can switch her with a back Holomem who is not resting. For double yellow, you get right in the shoebox for 40 plus damage. You roll a die twice, and you get damage equal to 10 times the number you rolled. The idea of just being able to come in, take a knockout. If you get the right damage, I mean, this is kind of the sticking point, right? Is that the average damage roll, quote unquote, should be 110, which is, pretty good for a Buzz. And the max is 160. The minimum is 60 for 2 yellow. It gets rough. It gets rough out there. Last but not least, the GG second. 108 HP, a yellow and a colorless, base 60, plus 50 versus red. And then 2 yellow, 2 colorless, GG easy, 140 damage. Roll a die once. If the result is odd, deal 30 special damage to your opponent's center and collab Alma. If it is even, this art's got plus 60, so it does 200 damage to your opponent's Solomon that it targets. This is just not where the game's power level is set right now. We don't have on Bloom ramp, which, I mean, there's the CC, I think. But I think that's still collab. I don't think Justice got an on-demand ramper, at all. So that's kind of a problem. On top of just kind of sort of scatterbrained logic of the effects themselves, this Buzz is kind of tuned about as well as I think it can be for what it's trying to do. Because rolling a die rolling 2 dice is just a lot of variance. But the second could probably, both for the sake of working better with her real cards, and just kind of in general, I think the numbers could just be better. Which means that at some point, we're printing more GG cards to flood the market. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, that was the Oshi lineup, but let's take a look at who else we've got here. So, our other white member is Nanashi Mume. We have her debut. If your center Holomem is Promiser Alum. When you use her 1 colorless 20 damage attack, you may archive a card from your hand to grab a friend from your deck and attach it to your Mume. So that is, of course, local mascot friend. A way to get that onto a Mume if you would like it. We have this 121st Bloom. 1 white and a colorless for 1 last cup of coffee. 30 damage during this turn. If you have used an event this turn, your center and collab holoman with hashtag alum get arts plus 20. Yes, that is putting the iris effect on a different tag on use of an arts, and with a requirement that you've used an event. So it is not nearly, it also takes 2 cheer. So, this is not nearly as crazy as Iris is. It's just kind of a way to give a damage push to a different archetype. Speaking of supporting a different archetype, Bloom Nanashi Mume. Bloom from debut. Reveal a debut of first Holoman with hashtag alum from your deck. Add to hand. You may only use this Bloom effect once per turn. And the reason that's the case is because this can grab buzzes. And I didn't want to have to worry too much about the consequences of being able to do that multiple times in a turn. So, once per turn, you go get your debuts, you go get your firsts. I was kind of under the impression I was just never going to make spot cards. So I just not get spots. And that's fine. Most archetypes aren't going to get spots after all. And then a double colorless for even in this void 40. We have this. Just gonna test. We have this emo girl Mume art. I'll feel your presence even in the void. Which, if that isn't a quote from the song Mume, it feels like it's got to be a lyric quote. I can't guarantee that. By the way, Imume. Love ourselves some. And last but not least, pull this second out as well. It's a fun one. Mume's second, 200 HP. Her arts is very simple. It's a white and 2 colors for 150. Does plus 50 versus main. Bird will find you. Gift is if you go looking for me during your main phase. This is your 3rd turn or later. When your Holoman's ability reveals a debut or first Holoman with hashtag alum from your deck, you may archive the revealed Holoman, reveal this Holoman from your deck, bloom this Holoman on one of your first Anashi Mume. You may only use this gift once per turn. If y'all know Magic the Gathering, you may be familiar with a little guy called Panglacial Worm. And this is Panglacial Mume. You go searching for your deck, you find something while you're searching. Oh, hey, it's a Mume. Hi, Mume. I'm gonna reveal this. Now, I think how this ends up working with the way that triggers work is that you resolve the search and all that. You finish up your search ability, and then you resolve this, which means that it is activating from deck without having been shown initially. Also, this doesn't specify that you go searching again, or you shuffle again when you go grab her. Yeah, I should probably specify that you shuffle again, but it's fine. I think that's implicit for now. Anyway. Yeah, that's Mume. She pivots a bit to being able to support tag. For her debut, can go in either deck, and her second is, I would say, agnostic. In reality, what it is triggering off her first Mume, and also maybe other abilities that go looking for alumni. Oh, anyway. That's Mooms. First of our alumni, we actually have kind of a row of them just coming up here to sort of round thing, not finish things off, but get into it, round out the set. In green, we have Rusha. We must play lip service to the existence of the Necromancer. We have this 90 HP that's basically just a copy of the Nene, I believe, is the one that does this. Instead of searching Gen 5 debuts, it's alums. If there are 5 or less Holomim on your stage, you may reveal a debut Holomim with hashtag alum from your deck, place it on stage, and then shuffle. I mean, hey, you put a cheer on her, you get a normal PC while also dealing 10 damage. Her vanilla is 160. For green, she does 40. And then for green and colorless, she does 60. I do like this art. I'm not gonna lie, this like Sword Art Online fairy thing going on. I think that is cool. I have her idol, and also admittedly cute. Pull that out. We did do some justice, I would say, to her. So we have the Bloom effect. I missed you. Reveal a cheer for your cheer deck with the same color as one of your Holomim with hashtag alum. Send it to your Holomim, then shuffle the cheer deck. Also, a 1 colorless attack. This art's get plus 10 for each of your opponent's collab or back hologram. I think that is just kind of a funny little yandere flavored ability. This profile could probably definitely get a just bigger numbers. You max out at 60 damage with that for the one cheer, which, I mean, that's pretty good. But I still think you could probably sit at like 130, 140 in modern balancing terms. Last but not least, Rush's second, 180 HP. Her Bloom effect is a Necromancer's Call. Bloom a Holomem for your archive on one of your debut or first Holomem with hashtag alum. You can only use this effect once per turn. You also still follow normal limitations, so when you grab this, you are grabbing like the appropriate Bloom level. So you grab a first if you're going from a debut, you grab a second if you're going from a first, unless there's some other effect on board that allows you to do differently, which, will have to be on the cards themselves. Her arts is a green and 2 colorless for 90 base and plus 50 against blue. This art gets plus 60 if you have 3 back first Holomem or seconds with hashtag alum. So you do get up to 150 for a fairly easy to meet condition, because she is kind of a secondary member as she is built here. Not intended to be your primary attacker by any means. She does good damage for an alum theme deck. Also can be both your ramper and this kind of like sneak bloom effect. This kind of like one-time ollie bloom for just the tag, which I think is neat. I think this is necromancing. With the existence of like Herb and Gigi though, there's a world where this Rusha just straight up like spawns something out of archive and then sticks a cheer on it so you could actually use that turn. I think that is probably the most like canonical necromancy we could be getting. And you know what? If anyone either wants to steal that idea for their own Rusha customs, or maybe if I'm convinced to go back and make more for I don't know, fairness or something. Maybe that's the direction I could go. Or maybe if there's some other death-related Holomem game, that's a thought. All right, enough about Rusha. Let's talk about another graduate who I'm familiar with. Here, Coco. So, 100 HP, does 30 damage with a red cheer. She also has this conditional. Wait, no, this is a different thing. I was thinking about synergies. Coco for a minute. This Coco's thing is center a collab position. If a Tatsunoko is attached to this Holomem takes minus 20 damage. So if you have her fan attached, which we'll get to in a bit, minus 20 damage. This Coco's thing is fans. Kind of like a variant of Polka that actually has a cap on it. So like, what if Polka was balanced, which turns out to be a little bit problematic in the grand scheme of things, because balanced Polka, not strictly like, metagame material Polka. But we do some stuff. We have this Coco, 178. We're pulling up the art because that's the point of this art. What you're staring at, 1 red for 40, and it's fake, right? For red and colors for 60, because that tail ain't real. It is in fact just Asakoko, S. 170 HP on a vanilla profile. G tank. Yeah, this 120 HP Coco first. On Bloom, attach a Tatsunoko from Archive to your Coco. If you attached it to a Buzz Holomem, deal 30 special damage to your opponent's center Holomem. Meaning that it's fan retrieval. Also, if you attach it to the Buzz that we'll get to in a minute, you also just get Kanada on Bloom, which I think in hindsight is so funny. Because, yeah, who would you expect to play well with Coco? Yeah, I would hope that Kanada plays well with Coco. Which kind of didn't work out for this first set appearance, but that doesn't have to be true for future appearances. Like nudge nudge. For arts, she does a 2 colorless for the world was too small. So that the full quote, I stood on top of the world was too small. Something she said at one point. I was not there for it because, ain't gonna lie, I did not watch a lot of Coco, like at all. She was not before my time, but Gen 4 was a couple of gens before I actually fell down the rabbit hole, which was with Myth. And I kind of did not go back to check out a bunch of JP clips in time to really lock in with what Coco was doing, even though she was speaking English quite a bit of it. Meme review, I'm pretty sure I watched a good few of. Yeah, also, you'll note that she is language tag because there was a dearth of language holomem and who, several included who actually deserve the tag. Like Yofi doesn't have it, Kiara doesn't have it. There's a couple that really should have had the tag. Considering that she's the reason that we have an English branch in the first place, I feel like Coco deserves language. If anyone disagrees, you can be wrong and that's fine, but also feel free to talk about it in the comments and, disagree with me. Last but not least, Buzz Coco, 240 HP. Collab effect. You may archive a Tatsunoko attached to this holomem to attach two fans for your archive to your back holomem. See you go +1. It's great. Also, the idea of, sending off the Tatsunoko with the name bye for now, everyone. Anyway, her art's red in 2 colors for see you in 500 years. It does not deal 500 damage. It does do 50. Deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center and collab holomem for each of your holomem with a Tatsunoko attached. Meaning, at maximum, it is 50 base damage and then 80 special to both your opponent's center, and opponent's collab, which adds up to 210 total damage. Just split in kind of a awkward way. So you deal like 130 one place and 80 another place. I still feel like that is more than acceptable, especially because, when it's a Buzz, so you're not investing a second per se. Also, like, this is kind of interesting that this is fan build that doesn't want fans scattered onto one holomem, despite the fact that the idea, in theory, maybe would be that a fan is like something that you stack all onto one person. No, Coco here is asking you to share the love a little bit, which, that's somewhat fitting for her, in a way. Ideally, you'd probably just get some more stuff that counts as Tatsunoko for this ability to really pay off with. If you just want to be like on what Coco's numbers can be, but I feel like for the investment required, this is probably fine. You could also you could grab do this with Crucia support. You have like the ramper for Alum, but also you have the second that can just grab it and stick her on a debut, and then you collab with that, and then it's just the whole thing. I think that's a decent enough play pattern for the power level this was designed for. Yeah, that's not current power level. It's a few sets back at best. All right, moving forward, we'll go finish off the colors as we see them, because now we have some more than one on each row for that. We have Bay. So Bay got her official stuff on set 6. They did not take her the direction that I was kind of expecting them to, which is fine. We have this collab Bay. You may roll a die once, and if it's odd, grab a first bale. Grab a first Bay from your deck to hand. And she has a 1 colorless 30 damage arts. It still has 90 HP. So this is, I think, on the higher end of RLO for this. Just kind of the fact that, you're gambling, meaning that you should have more HP, more base damage. You should, have insurance in case your gamble doesn't pay off, I think. I think it's only fair. We also have this other debut, Very, Very Sleepy. She's a 100 HP. 1 red, 20 damage. You may roll a die once. If the result is 5, at the end of your performance step, you may rest this holomem and switch it with one of your holomem that is not resting. So she deals damage and then she says, I am going back to sleep. Good night. Also, again, the art. Look at how cute that rat is. Also, I am pretty sure I flipped this art upside down from the original Namiori art. So that's fun. Yeah, because she looks actually laying down in the bed like a normal person, which canonically she is probably not. We have this first bay. This is gonna be interesting. So 120 HP. Her first arts is Topsy-Turvy. 20 damage for one colorless. Roll a die once if the result is odd. Rest one of your opponent's back holomem. The holomem does not reset during your opponent's next reset phase. It's tap down, because red is the control color, apparently. The 2 colorless for Don't Get Dizzy, which is a base 40 art. Roll a die once for each of your opponent's resting holomem. If any result is odd, this art gets plus 20. Meaning, you're probably getting 60 art or damage for the 2 colorless, provided, do this. It's 50% for, just doing normal, right? Yeah, 50% for doing normal, but then you have the additional, so you get, I think it's like, you know what? Never mind. Don't need to do that math right now. Suffice to say, more than half if you have this ability, or first art fire, and the next turn you do the second art. Unlikely to happen in Modern, but this is just kind of a fun thing. I don't want to really think about what shenanigans you could pull off if you could do more consistent tapping down effects in this game. There's design space there, and I'll leave it open for the time being. Last but not least, Bait Buzz, 240 HP, Dream Drip Distance. Because it's the Kingdom Hearts, but this art all swagged up. Drip. The kids still use that, right? Once per turn in either center or call out position, when your holomem's ability will roll a die, you may declare one face number of the die. Regard the next result as the declared number. Meaning, once per turn, she's out there, face of battle. You get to just look at one of your dice and say, no, you're doing this. Your arts is run a colorless for 30. You may roll a die twice for each odd result, deal 30 special damage. Your opponent's center, go collab holomem. And it gets up to 90 for 2, which I don't think is terrible on a Buzz. At least back for the power level this was listed at. I think Buzzes have gotten a little better. Looking at you, Muna. But yeah, this is fun. Internal synergy, choosing numbers. This does not play especially dedicatedly with the existing base stuff, and in and of itself is just kind of a grab a bag of abilities that would be interesting. So not the strongest in the sense of support, but in the sense of we gave Bay die rolls because she is the chaos representative. Except also she gets to control that because she is the chaos representative. She's in charge of it. I think flavor-wise it's good. Not the strongest once again. Next up we have Blue and we have Aqua. We've seen Aqua and Fauna before, so we'll just kind of skim through here. This Aqua debut has 100 HP, deals 20 damage for colorless, and you can also send a blue or purple archive from your holomem, archive to your holomem, purple cheer, third holomem, with the double retreat, which is not as strong a theme, but shows up in multiple cards. We have this debut Cat Girl made Aqua, 70 base HP collab. You may archive a cheer from this holomem to grab a debut, which you to receive from your deck and add to hand. Also for Blue, she goes Nya for 30. She also has so many tags. Look at that: JP, Gen 2, Alum, Kimomimi, and Shooter. Kimomimi also obviously being special for the Cat Girl, but normally she has the rest of those. There, here. Her vanilla A quality Dave, 1 cheer for 40 and 2 60, base 170 HP. She does get to think a little bit more for straight up of having the higher baton pass. This Aqua has 140. The first Bloom effect during this turn, all blue holomem, blue cheer, purple holomem, and purple cheer are regarded as both blue and purple for both players. Very relevant. The original idea was thinking start end or Aqua Shion. Because of the existence of the Chloe Shion builds, I feel like there's a world where maybe you could grab some Aqua and throw that in. Though admittedly, set 1 the payoff isn't the strongest for that. I feel like Aqua definitely could get a second down the line. For now, we have her Buzz, which is 240 HP. Full out effect, Princess Carry. We choose 1 to 3 cheers from your stage. Reattach them to your blue or purple hollow mem as you choose. And for a blue, a purple, and colorless. So if you have her idle bloom effect up, just 2 of either blue or purple, and then a colorless. You may archive a blue or purple cheer from this hollow mem to deal 10 special damage to your opponent's back hollow mem for each of your blue or purple hollow mem plus 1. So 80 base with like a 70 damage back pig. Yeah, it's 3 cheer on a Buzz attack, but it is 150 damage. So this was back when like set 1, set 2, when like the Moonabuzz was like good, even if it wasn't like meta itself. Kind of the thought process there. But yeah, obviously the numbers aren't where they would be for like meta contention nowadays, but I still do think that the core ideas of what she is doing interesting. She plays nicely with some other mems who game as well. Notably, not necessarily like or Suisei. Suisei is probably fine. Toa, the fact that these Aquas don't have singing kind of gets in the way of synergizing with Toa especially well, but there also should probably just be some like dedicated start end deck cards anyway. Anyway, I'm well spent. Aqua, let's talk about Sana. This is also a pretty basic lineup that we have seen before. Sana debut for 1 colorless, she gets 30. That should have a plus on it. 30 damage, but if a purple cheer is attached to this helmet, it goes to 40. She has 110 HP because she has a double retreat cost. The vanilla, 180 HP, 2 baton pass, 1 colorless for 40, and a blue and a colorless for 60. In case you do want to see her out her limiter. I mean, yeah, a Sana without her limiter on is going to be old. We have Idle Sana, 120 HP. Bloom effect as the speaker of space. You may send a cheer for your archive with the same color as one of your hollow mem with hashtag painting to your hollow mem. Then you may reveal and add a limiter from deck to hand. So it is both cheer recovery, which is not as good as cheer ramp, so it has this extra bonus effect on top of it. And also 40 damage for double colorless. Yeah, like obviously it's not the strongest piece of like your cheer line. Like you probably are still thinking about maybe do you want to run a primary ramper in the deck or something, but I think it is still good for what she is trying. With the more decks sending stuff from a cheered deck archive or from a staged archive in one way or another, I think that improves it somewhat. Last but not least, we have Astro Girl, which I mean, just I've used this art multiple times for things. It is just man, the artist just really got the assignment. 200 HP. I'm not alone. Reveal a hollow mem with hashtag painting from your deck and add to hand and shuffle. And Astro Girl, 1 blue, 2 colorless, 100 plus base damage, with plus 50 against white. If your stage has a hollow mem with hashtag painting other than Sana on it, this art gets plus 50. Nice, straightforward. Yofi plus on bloom search. Just a decent profile, just a decent base for a deck to have access to, I think. I do already have her feature support, at least some of it figured out. You are still running this, but I think you're definitely not thinking of her as like your main attacker, obviously. Yeah, something to look forward to. There will definitely be more Sonic cards in the future put into this TTS mod. Let's wind back to the bottom card of blue. We have Buzz Sue. She has 240 HP. We have Spread the Word, to on-pass. These are Sue's tags, by the way. Baby and Cooking. She didn't get any official. When I built the SD, I figured I'd give tags that fit her. And we'll maybe touch a bit more on that when we get to the start deck. Gift. Spread the word. If this hollow mem is down, send 1 cheer from this hollow mem to 1 to 3 of your hollow mem with Flow Glow. Meaning that if you have 3 cheer attached, spread around her, give them to 3 separate targets. And then for blue and a colorless, you get hyped, 60 base damage, that it gets plus 10 for each cheer attached to this hollow mem. That is not capped. So this is base 80 for 2 cheer, and can go as high as you want it. Admittedly, it is well, I guess technically there is still a hard limit of 119. Yeah, 250 if you have all cheer, but your final life attached to her. Although there have been ways enabled in this game to get some support cards put into your life. Not in my stuff, but well, that's probably something we'll look at someday. Looking at customs. Yeah, no, I think this is pretty good as far as buzzes go. Sue's thing in the real game is dealing damage based on retreat costs and having the ability to boost those incidentally, which I think is a really cool mechanic. The Sue stuff that we'll be seeing here is quite as like fancy, but I still do kind of like the direction I took Sue, and the direction that Synergy has Sue stuff in, because real Sue, I like that ability. Yeah. So we have our SD member appearing in main set accounted for, as well as her genmates who actually get main set appearances, you know, her Vivian Rona. We don't have a Nico to show off today. Maybe eventually I'll make Nico cards. For now, what I do have made, Yoza Mel. Hi Mel. We miss you, Mel. 110 HP for Konkapu for purple. It deals 40 damage. When you use this arts, deal 10 special damage to one of your holomem. It is axe that you target, and you may be thinking, well, you can just mitigate that with like a Kotori or something, or like, yes, you can, but Mel wants you to put damage on board. Why does she want you to put damage on board? So you can heal it off with your Fauna or your Aki, or because you have other abilities to be using. So yeah, the idea is, you know, your vampire girlfriend is chewing on you with a W, because that's how Mel rolls. She didn't really like suck blood. She was just kind of like nibbling on people. But yeah, so the idea being, you know, that you're going around, you're nibbling on your friends and setting up some stuff. But for 170 base HP first bloom, for 2 colorless, you can deal 30. For 2 purple, you can deal 60. She has cooking tag, the same way that Hachima would have cooking tag. You know, Hachima cooking. Mel's cooking is famously just kind of disastrous in a very funny way. Anyway, first bloom with effects on it, 150 HP. Bloom effect, reveal a compliment from your deck and attach it to your Yoza Mel. If you attach compliment to a first or debut holomem, restore 30 HP to one of your holomem with Gen 1 or Alone. Why does that matter? So the fan, as a heads up, has an on-attach effect that does damage to you, meaning that you deal damage and then this heals off the HP. Why does that matter? Well, her arts effect is 2 colorless for Twinkle Star Magic with a star attached for 30 base damage. Also deals 10 special damage to your opponent's center or collab holomem for every 20 damage dealt to your holomem this turn. Now, obviously there's an issue with this kind of retaliatory ability that is self-inflicted, but it's very funny. So the idea being, Mel's game plan is you hit your own holomem on your turn so that you can then get better damage to push onto your opponent. And obviously for this, you know, it's a 1-to-2 ratio, you know, like, oh, I deal, you know, damage with my compliment attaches that deal damage maybe a couple other ways, like an axe attachment or something. But then that's still not a lot of damage, you know, you have to deal like 100 damage to your own guys to get to like 30 plus 50, you know, which is, you know, that's kind of hard to do, you would think, right? Well, yes. But take a look at the second Yoza Mel. 210 HP. Her gift, life is fleeting, so ... Once per turn during your main phase, you may deal up to 200 special damage to one of your other HoloMem. Restore 10 HP to this HoloMem for every 20 damage dealt this way. That's right. You can full heal her during once per turn during main phase to just set up the damage potential that she has. And here's why you need to do that. 1 purple and 2 colors for Let's Make It Special. Restore 100 HP to your center or collab HoloMem. Then deal 10 special damage to your opponent's center or collab HoloMem for every 10 HP restored by this effect. So, the game that you're playing is you're keeping her topped up with the use of this arts in her gift. So that you can repeatedly be dealing, 110 base, 58 extra against yellow, because, blondes are super effective against yellow. HoloMem, everyone knows this. And then also being able to simultaneously this ability to heal and deal damage, while also this other floating HP and manipulation effect. I just really think this idea is cool. I think the numbers are where they need to be for this to be kind of balanced. There's kind of a glaring typo right there. Look at that. That said 110 HP. It still does in the official mod, I believe. Or I fixed it there and I forgot to do it in my separate export, which I used to make this little blank background. Anyway, that's Mel. I think I did cook with what Mel does. And I think I will cook more in the future. Because unlike what the screen grabs from that one person's Mel Oshi and Mel Second would tell you, she does not have an Oshi. She does not have official cards. And she should get more. So we'll come back around, I think, with more art and more here. Maybe some of the trouble I was having was actually finding enough. I'm sure we can find 4 arts to get her an Oshi and some other stuff. I hope. Last but not least, the... anyway. Nino Manio Inyo Nanyo. 210 HP per second. If you only run this custom set, this is the only second she has in the whole game so far. And will be until probably set 8 at best. Bloom effect. With this power, if there's 7 or more HoloMem with myth or painting in your archive, restore all HP of your HoloMem with the most damage taken. So, whoever's got the most on them, just heal that shit off. 3 purple for I shall finish this. 70 base. If there's 7 or more HoloMem with myth or painting in your archive, this arts gets plus 70. Then if there are 14 or more, this arts gets plus 70. So you get up to 210 for a 3 purple, which is simultaneously not all that much because it's only 3 cheer, but also is kind of a lot to ask because this is, a lot of mems in archive for whatnot. It's okay. Having to strive to get that 200 is something that the earlier sets were kind of setting as the benchmark, and then we have kind of strayed from that as time has gone on. So, hypothetically, this would probably actually get easier to do. Maybe even a 2 cheer do that. I'm not sure. 2 cheer is probably too late. But the idea being that you have the 777 thing going on with the 333, which is why her HP is 210, and why every other number that we could kind of get here is a multiple of 7. Because, yeah. Alright. That's all the single-colored HoloMem. We have some duos, though. We have Lame with their It's Not a Phase. I don't think those are their It's Not a Phase. It's just different Koth outfits. Anyway. 240 HP on a green and white Buzz. On Bloom, you return a HoloMem with Promise or Alum, except another copy of Fame from your archive to hand. So kind of like a take on the Hato Buzz. And then for 3 colorless, 50 base, gets plus 30 for each white or green cheer attached to this HoloMem, but only up to 3 cheer are counted. So 3 cheer for a 140 attack, as long as all of them are white or green. That feels alright-ish, I would say. The fact that she's just kind of Bloom for recovery, I think, is also just good. I feel like the more ways that you have to salvage back HoloMem, not only is archiving from deck, something that you can do more as like an alternative like tutoring option, but also just like it helps out with late end games, makes things easier. We have this Beerus, red and white, 110 HP for a normal first. Bloom effect, another chance. If bloomed from Heiko spells, deal 30 to your opponent's center Holomem. This doesn't take life if you down them. If bloom from Iris, draw a card. So if you bloom a Beerus on top of a Beerus, you get both effects. Also, a white and a red gets you grilled tofu for 50, as it's funny. Unburnt Iris is a funny thought to me. Just tan lines. Okay, anyway. We have Blood Raven second because, like, if cover doesn't give us official Blood Raven cards, what are we even doing here? 190 HP for a red and purple second Holomem. That's treated as both Liz and Rissa on stage. For one colorless, or just in general, I guess. For one colorless, My Sweetest Scarlet is 30 damage, plus 50 versus green, which is the common enemy of red and purple in the quote-unquote color wheel, type wheel kind of thing that the game does have. Ask Chocolate about it. Discord, if you would like to see the graphic. I can also show you the graphic I haven't saved my computer for exactly that purpose. If your Oshi is either Liz or Rissa, when you do the attack, you deal 30 special damage to your opponent's center Holomem, so total 60 for one cheer. This, actually, come to think of it, as play if for Oshi, the official Liz Oshi, kind of. Anyway, red, purple colors from My Beautiful Bird, base 50. That does 20 for each of your extra for each of your Holomem with singing. So not the strongest. Did I really set the damage that low? That could go higher for a red and a purple and a colorless, surely. I think I was playing it a little bit too safe on this one. But yeah, you know, that's a profile. You know, we have our first duo mem second, which is a cool design space to have. I do hope that we do eventually get some like duo seconds. We got some duo buzzes. We got some maybe even debut duos. Duo debuts is maybe a step too far from official, but I think is, you know, interesting to explore for sure. We have Ina Sanity because there's no way in hell I wasn't gonna put this like have a Sana card in our initial set, not do something with this. 250 HP Buzz. Look at that pile of tags at the bottom. That's 7 tags right there. Ian, Myth, Promise, Alum, Painting, Sea, and Summer. Summer tag. Hello. Surely that won't be a thing that comes up later. Gift, a world of their own. Sukumo Sana in your archive. Get hashtag Myth. So all your Sanas count for your Ina abilities. Also, all blue and purple cheer attached to this Holomem are regarded as both blue and purple. You don't need Aqua to set it up for them. They have it on lock. You also have a blue and a purple for Infinity Dividing 0. 50 base damage. If there are 5 or more Holomem with Myth in your archive, you can send the top card of your trio deck to your Holomem. Then if there are 10 or more, deal 30 damage to one of your opponent's back Holomem. The art is 2 different colors, so it is a little bit... I think it probably is a little bit undertuned. The on-attack ramp stuff was kind of nice to be able to do. Let you pull some things off that maybe your opponent isn't expecting if they're not reading your cards carefully or board carefully enough. I don't know. I think this works, but probably there's a world where it is stronger just because the ceilings are what they are. This, I think, may actually be fine where it is. This is Auto Fister. This is the classic CC Gigi combo. 240 HP on a green and yellow Holomem. Gift of the Dynamo Duo. When this Holomem is down, reattach 1 to 3 cheer for this Holomem to your Holomem with hashtag EN. So, we look down here at Sue. Right, we look down here at Sue. We see, you know, 1 to 3 of your Holomem with Flow Globe. And then you see this CC, Gigi, this Auto Fister. Like, you just send all 3 of them to 1. On top of the fact that she's a buzz, so you get 2 for out of life when you... That is kind of insane. And I think it's about the right balance point. I think that's fine. Especially because her arts requires a green and a yellow and also a colorless for auto fisticuffs. A base 60 that deals 10 for each cheer attached to your HoloMem. So, spread the cheer, spread the love, spread the vibes. Obliterate your enemies with the power of Auto Fister. This is one of those sum of better than your parts kind of things because individual cards that these mem have are not the strongest in the world, I would say. So, having a card like this would kind of like push an Auto Fister deck very nicely. Our last duo colored HoloMem in set 1, Ame Same. First bloom, blue and yellow, 150 HP. 2 colorless, you get Under the Stars, which is the name of a fan song about them. 40 damage, and you can also recover a blue or yellow cheer from Archive to one of your HoloMem with Myth. And then for blue and yellow, you get the follow-up song, The World Outside, which is 60 and no other effect. Yeah, it's definitely not the most potent thing. I realize also, colors are in color wheel order rather than ship name. That you can see with Beerus is how that was done there. Interesting. Anyway, that's the mem list. Set 1. Then we have utility cards. So, for staff, we have Yago. That epic Yago art. Limited. This card, you also have to rest one of your HoloMem and archive a holopower to use this. Reveal a HoloMem from your deck with the same name as one of your resting HoloMem and add it to hand. Just go search for the fuck you want, basically. As long as you're willing to pay that rest 1, archive 1 cost. I feel like this is your Master Ball. Go and get whatever you want. At least at the time I printed it, I felt like this was fair cost to do that. I think even now, I'm still would agree that like generically getting your second whenever the hell you want as your limited probably is still worth about this. You have other cards that like gamble it, but this is like guaranteed. There are several decks in which like that guarantees like life changing. So I am still pretty comfortable where this is. Even if there may be cards for some decks that are better. Like, for example, the existence in set 6 of the cards that let you search 2 HoloMem with a given tag, and also some side effect. Those are crazy limiteds. With those in mind, maybe you could not archive the Holo Power. But I don't know. I feel like generic tool should like about as good of a balance point. We have some items. We have the makeup kit. The card I was talking about with Vivi earlier. Use a HoloMem on either player's stage and a HoloMem on either player's archive until the end of your opponent's next performance step. The name of the HoloMem on stage becomes the name of the HoloMem chosen from the archive. Basically, you can use this on your own to, set your Vivis up, or you could just tell your opponent, I'm sorry, you don't get to make a second next turn on the one that you want to. It's a shame. These things happen. Lockdown. That one turn there's decent odds be the difference between life or death in the power level balance this was designed for. And I think even nowadays, or maybe even more so nowadays, that kind of control effect is actually very powerful. All right, moving on to Artist PC with our Foobs. Miss Foobs. Foobs. Once per turn, you archive one of your holopowers, reveal up to 2 fans or mascots that refer to one of your holomem, add them to deck. Or add them from deck to hand. Yes, so. Refer is not official terminology, but it is a card that mentions by name in question. So you can grab any Fubuki mascots because they mention Fubuki's name on the cards. You can grab her fans as well. Provided you have a Fubuki on board. If you have there's not really anyone else with this toolbox type of mentality in base game. Fubuki is the obvious one. There's like Korone, I guess, because Korone you can grab any fans or mascots. You can't grab Yubi with this. That is a major limitation. If this could grab Yubi, if this was like reveal up to 2 fan mascot or tool, they refer to one of your holomem and add them to hand. That I don't know, man. that could be kind of wild. But as it is, it probably is expensive for what it does. I didn't want it to be a flat upgrade to and Circle or Mascot Catcher, because those are existing limiteds. But I'm pretty sure that they're gonna power creep them naturally as time goes on. So maybe that wasn't as necessary to hold back on. I don't know. Hard to say. Hard to leg. Anyway, that's artist PC. Last of the items in another PC. This is a Potato PC. This is an item that lets you draw two. You have to have 4 less cards in your hand. Draw 2, then reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card is a non-limited item, non-limited event, debut, spot, or first hologram, you may add it to hand, otherwise archive it. Now, obviously, that is not as good, per se, as a card like a Soraz with that is a guaranteed, or, just has better guarantees on it. This is like Mikorane, but instead of rolling a die, you're just basing it on deck composition. The targets are not always the thing that you want to see. Maybe like to be able. Here's the thing: those are the only cards you can add. You can archive anything you see on top. If you see a debut, a spot, or first you don't want to add to hand, or a non-limited item or event that you don't want to add to hand, you still get to archive it if you want. You don't have to add. It can't just be a +1 that sets up your archive if you so desire. But most of the time, this is like Meat Coronet, but maybe feels worse because the odds are simultaneously both based on your deck building and even more random feeling. Because you don't have a way to set that unless you do set 7 Mio SP. Guarantee that once per game. That's a thing you could do. You don't need to, but it's a thing you could do. But yeah, it's a lower powered, but it is an item. It is a PC that is draw 2. Has draw 2 on it, which I think has some relevance. This Luna can just grab with her Oshi skill. I don't know. And you know what? The fact that this means it whiffs on fans and mascots. Anyway, events. So we have 3 gravities, 4 gravities actually. We have Graduation Live, which is a gravity for alum. We have Justice, which is Justice gravity. We'll get an official one, but I made it first because I made Justice cards first. So take that cover. We have Myth. They still haven't gotten one. This art has all 5 of them on it. The official one will probably only end up having 3 on it. Then we have Start End, which is specifically for the combination of Suisse, Aqua, and Toa. The card pools don't really have them working together especially well. That is something that customs will have to come in and work on to make happen. But yeah, in base game, we're not going to see Aqua and Suisse and Toa are kind of doing divergent things, even if Toa theoretically can do Suisse support, hypothetically. But yeah, no, probably not. Then we have, tangential to anything else you've seen, Shima Sheki Slash, or I think it's Island Cutting or Island Killing Slash. This is a Yame support. Limited, deal 30 special to your opponent's center or collab holomem. If your center holomem is Nakira Yame, you may ability shift once per game, reveal a tool from your deck attached to your Nakira Yame, then shuffle, then deal 30 special damage to your opponent's center or collab, but your opponent's life is not reduced if this downs them. That text applies to both. The fact that that's escaped out actually is kind of more confusing than I thought it would be. But yeah, it is a support card that is slightly more potent explosion magic. If you have an Ayame out, you get to do even more with it because it lets you grab a tool, which means you can grab either one of her swords, which is relevant. I feel like most decks should rather be able to grab Poyoyo off of it, but who am I to the goings about of modern Ayame decks? I've not played the set 6 Ayame yet. Maybe I should give that a point. Alright, moving on to tools. We have the Atlantean Fork, aka Kura's Trident. Arts plus 10, and the cheer requirements of all arts of the holomem this tool is attached to become colorless as long as it's attached to any Gura. You can run Gura with whatever cheer pile you want. You can stick this in your Gura Kiara deck, and now Gura runs on red cheer, which means that her buzz is guaranteed to activate. That's a thing you can do. Limiter, arts plus 10. If attached to Sana, it is plus 20 HP. It is like, what, I think this was, when Tatang was being, called out as, like, too strong. Oh my god, look at what Ray Day gets. It's like, it's fine. Sana can have this profile. It'll be okay. Look how happy she is to have. We have Thorn! Thorn is a tool that gives plus 10, and also the Upao retaliation ability as long as it's attached to a Liz. During your opponent's turn, when this Hollow Mem this tool is attached to takes damage, deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center Hollow Mem. If you could have a Mem who is somehow simultaneously Kanata and Liz, you could have both attached and deal 40. But we don't do that here yet. So, you know, possible so far. Last but not least, Riona's Mic. This is a plus 10 arts tool. And also on a first or greater Riona, during your opponent's turn, when the Hollow Mem this tool is attached to would take damage, you may archive a card from your hand, not this tool, to reduce that damage by 30. Meaning it is different from her Oshi, but it's kind of invoking that same sort of thing. So Riona has, if she has a theme, I guess, it is the idea of retaliation and kind of pushing through it. Like, whatever pain comes your way, you know, you keep on trucking through it. Just brilliant idol lady. Which is not as strong a theme as Play Lightsworn, I will admit. And I'm happy that her existing gimmick is like a fun mill strategy. But you know, I think this is neat too. I feel like this kind of card may eventually show up. Maybe not at this power level. Maybe at this power level exactly. It's kind of hard to say. What's per turn is probably the factor on it. Okay. We have some mascots and some fantasy cover. Mascots. We have Neko. This mascot gets plus 10 HP. And if this the Hollow Mem, this mascot is attached to use arts, if it's a Minato Aqua, this mascot is also regarded as a blue cheer. It is blue cheer on chemo for Aqua specifically. Why? Because this is Aqua's weird cat thing. And it just makes sense. We have Bubba. Bubba gives plus 20 HP, and if he is attached to a first or greater Abe, if you play an event or item this turn, the Hollow Mem this mascot is attached to gets arts plus 10. This could probably actually be stronger. This could probably say arts plus 20 on it. Anyway. Last but not least, Mr. Squeaks. Hollow Mem the mascot is attached to gets arts plus 10, and the cheer requirements of all of this of the Hollow Mem, this mascot is attached to becomes colorless. Basically, it is the same as Fork or Bay and mascot slot. The same way Death Sensei is kind of like this, except I don't think he does arts. I think he does HP. But yeah, the ability to put Bay in a deck that isn't, you know, all red and like, you know, you don't have to put her in like a Bay Crony hybrid thingamabob if you don't want to. Now she can actually play with her friends. It'll be great. It'll be great. So looking forward to someone figuring out Bay Promise. Last but not least, fans. We have the Kapumin. When this fan is attached to your Hollow Mem, deal 20 special damage to that Hollow Mem. Hollow Mem this fan is attached to gets special damage plus 10 when dealing special damage to your opponent's center or collab Hollow Mem. This is not how this is written in official cards. I feel like the fact that we have arts plus 10 should indicate that we get special damage plus 10 is how it's written, but you know, it's fine. This is just also just funny, right? Like, this is just funny. It's like, sort of like Yukimin, I believe. That's the one. I think there's a fan that I believe actually does something kind of like this, but this one deals 20 special damage on attach. Synergy. Nom nom. We have Tatsunoko, which is, I think it's the Koyori fan? When this fan is attached from hand or archive to a Hollow Mem, you may reattach it here from your other Hollow Mem to the Hollow Mem this fan is attached to. you know, just sheer manipulation, which helps set up Coco shenanigans. Jump Bud. Once per turn, when the HoloOCG Phantom statue receives cheer, during this turn, the HoloOCG Phantom statue gets arts plus 10. If you have 4 Chump Buds on a Gura, it goes to plus 40. That's it. We have Sapling, who is the Noel fan. The HoloOCG Phantom statue takes minus 10 damage. And we have the Gremlin. If the HoloOCG Phantom statue roll the die by an ability, we archive this fan to ignore the previous results and re-roll the die. Yeah, Usagis. So this is set 1. You know, we do have a couple promos here. We have a Gigi debut with monitoring art because God, just look at this art. Do you understand? Do you understand? Look at that. Oh, the suit. Or enough something. And then we also have this promise, a reprint, that has all 6 members of Promise on it. Yes, Sana is part of Promise. Because Promise is just another name for Council Risk, okay? As we talked about in the Sana video, if I didn't give Sana Promise, I would have to give her Council, and then, like, grandfather her in with an explanation that Council is the same as Promise, as, like, an extra on her cards, which is dumb. So, Sana gets put into Promise for the sake of the card game. It's fine, don't worry about it. It is still just wild to me that they couldn't let Sana be like a member of Promise on the official. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Why did it just have to be the 5 of them? Anyway, I digress hard. So set 1 has fallen a bit behind the times compared to where we are right now, obviously. Power creep has caught up to some of these more than others. There's potential that maybe some of these cards are, like, ridiculously good in the current setup. I feel like Ame-Same actually plays out quite well. I think there might be room for some herb things to happen. I think the bodyguard is, like, enough of an obstacle to maybe come up. And I feel like the herb herself, the ability to just kind of, like, stick an existing art with, like, an extra plus 50 versus purple. That versatility, I feel like there's a lot you can do with that, potentially. But yeah. So maybe there's something there for Liz. I've played a game with the Mel build, and I wasn't quite happy with how it ended up working out. My Fauna Mel plans kind of didn't pay off as dramatically as I wanted them to, but that may have also been a problem with the hands as much as anything. I'm not entirely sure. But that is set 1, J3P01, as the set code says. We'll walk through the star decks and the set 2 in their own videos, just to kind of spread this a bit. You can get the Tabletop Sim mod with all these cards, as well as all the official currently legal cards in the description. We'll also have Noodle Brain's original version of the TTS mod, because they're the one who put in the work to actually make the game table and whatnot that you can play this on, and that me and Synergy both kind of just took and then put our cards in and then republished. So, like, full credit to their work for doing that in the first place. You can get that version, you can get my version with this set and the extra customs that I have officially finished putting together, and Synergy's mod, which is its own can of worms that I will be talking about, I think, as well in this, what may end up being an actual miniseries of a HoloOCG custom card reviews. As told by one man who is, I think, honestly thought more about the design of cards than actually play time by at least, like, 5-fold. But yeah, anyway, that's it for now, I guess. Tune in next time for the rest of this, or more of it.